Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the DVC show. I am Paul Krieger, your host this week, and I'm joined at the table by my lovely wife, Amy Krieger.
Hello.
DVC resale sales agent, Danny Metzger.
Hey there.
And back in the nook, John Sakari, aka Big Fat Panda.
Hi.
What was...
I had issues.
Okay. You looked very confused when I said your name, so
over and
I didn't know if you were starting to go and forgot your name or what the case could have been.
That could happen.
Okay.
Little kid jumped up at him.
A little kid jumped, or some werewolf came out of a closet and scared you. Only the Patreon crowd will get that. But welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Pete is on a call at the moment, so he was unable to join us. But we're keeping on with the shows and going to get through our next one, which is basically, I think we're calling it DVC Around Orlando. So this is actually something that we talked about a little bit in one of our more recent shows where we talked about things to do in and around Walt Disney World or the Disney Vacation Club properties as an owner that weren't necessarily going into the parks. So things to do like the pontoon boats, all of that kind of stuff. So we're sort of expanding on that concept a little bit further this week and going to the Orlando or Central Florida surrounding area to talk about those things that you could do on a Disney Vacation Club stay that are like a hop, skip, and a jump away. Before we get into it, as always, if you love our content here at DVC Fan, please show some love to our sponsors over at the World of DVC. DVC resale market, if you're looking at buying a Disney Vacation Club contract, now is a great time to do so. Or if you're looking to sell your contract, they can help with that as well. Monera Financial will be able to help finance that Disney Vacation Club resale purchase if you're looking for that, and dvcrentalstore.com, where you can try before you buy, rent out some points at a fraction of the cost as you would pay direct through Disney to stay in one of these Disney Vacation Club villas, or rent out your own points and get some money for those points that you might not be using this year. So as always, please show some love for our sponsors at the World of DVC. But this is a topic that we've been talking about for a little while now in terms of something that we wanted to cover because we are Orlando locals now. We're down here a little bit more, but I think it resonates with a lot of DVC owners that maybe have been to the parks a lot of times, maybe are in that situation where they don't have annual passes anymore. They don't want to pay ticket prices to go into Walt Disney World. And so they still want to use their membership, stay in Orlando, but kind of want to try some new things. So we thought we'd sort of explore the Orlando area and talk about some fun things to do. And I'll kick it off right away with the one that really just jumps out to me is to head down to the park down the street, Universal Orlando Resort. It is sort of my go-to when I talk to people, and I think it's where a lot of members have been spending more and more time recently. Universal does have annual passes right now. They've got 3 awesome parks, Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and Volcano Bay. I've said this on a previous show. Volcano Bay is a park. It is a full park experience, but it is a water park. But I was skeptical myself when they called themselves a 3-park destination, and I'm 100% sold now. I was there the first time for my birthday last year, and just 100% are looped into Volcano Bay.
So I was talking to a friend the other day. I have not been yet, but apparently it's so much fun to rent out the cabanas, and they're pretty reasonably priced, especially if you're bringing a big group. I think they hold about 12 people, and it's around $200, but I think it works out to be about $25 a head. And yeah, super, super fun. And when you take like the bus into the park, there's apparently like a whole story that they tell you. So it really is. There's a lot of theming behind it too, which I didn't realize. I thought it was just like a regular water park. So yeah, I got to go check it out myself.
Yeah.
When we were going to go to Volcano Bay the first time, so we've been there twice now, and we actually included it in our annual pass. We really need to go back soon. But I told Paul, I was like, I don't like water slides. I was like, I'm going to lay on the lounger. We went with 2 of our friends. You guys go, you ride all the slides, enjoy yourself. I'm just going to relax. And they were like, no, you gotta come, you gotta try. And I was like, some of them look kind of scary. And we rode they convinced me, and we went on all of them, like that giant one that looks like a half pipe, the Inca Moana, and the Krakatoa, which is the coaster. And I gotta tell you, I had never laughed so hard and so long. Like, I just had an absolute blast. Like, they're a little scary, but they're actually like a lot of fun. And they're completely safe. You know what I mean? There's no reason for me to be scared. But they just have some really great, like, just those water slides, especially the ones where you get to ride on a giant raft with all your friends. It's just a really good time together. And the system that they have there, what do they call it? The Tapu Tapu, which is kind of like, like a virtual queue, but it's included in like you going. So you get your Tapu Tapu, you go and tap, and then you get a return time. Like it counts down and tells you how many minutes till you can return. Like that makes your day so much easier, because we would go and tap into something we wanted to ride, and then we would go into like the lazy river, or if you haven't done the fearless river, like it's like a lazy river, only it's way faster, and it's like tons of waves, and like you wear a life vest and you just kind of float around. Oh my gosh, we had the best time in there. And Paul got like sucked into the waves thing.
The wave
Not
maker.
Dangerously, but I was laughing so hard. It's like, he'll be all right.
She didn't even try to save me. She was just like, he'll be fine.
But a lot of fun. So yeah, Universal has a lot going for it, and absolutely, absolutely love the Velocicoaster. Like, I just cannot get enough of that coaster. If you want thrills, go to Universal.
I think it points to the life cycle of a DVC member as well, in terms of a family also. You sort of maybe start or get into Disney Vacation Club. For some people, it's because they've got kids, younger kids that want to go to Walt Disney World every year. And that's a fun thing to do for maybe 5-10 years or so. But once they get into those teenage years, maybe they're looking for a little bit more thrill with a park. And I think that's where Universal really knocks it out of the park. I said park twice too many times very quickly.
It harkens back to that, yes.
There we go.
I hear this a lot from friends, especially friends who have young boys that are like, we love Disney, obviously, but as my boys get to a certain age, like some of the Disney stuff, they're just not like meshing with as well, and so they go over to Universal, and it seems like they have a better time over there with some of like the Transformer stuff, and
Harry Potter
Fast and Furious, but yeah, Jurassic Park, and so some of the theming and some of the IP over there, depending on your child, might speak to them a little bit more.
Yeah, and without turning it into like a Universal show, just something else I'll point out, just some amazing events that they have throughout the year. Around Christmas time, they have basically a small version of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade that they run every single night, which is absolutely awesome. They've got giant balloons like you would see in New York that are in the parade and stuff like that. They also do Mardi Gras. Amy and I recently threw beads off of the floats. You can actually sign up for bead throwing. Amy was 100% just like, this is not going to be fun at all. And
it was way more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
You're the skeptic of the couple.
I was a skeptic. I was like, I don't care if we do this or not, but our friends want to do it, so we'll do it. I had so much fun throwing beads at people.
And the one that we were just talking about, Halloween Horror Nights, which I literally walk through like this the entire time. But Panda said that we're going to go, and he is just quite
I'm so excited
entertaining apparently to see at Halloween Horror Nights, so I'm excited for that.
By the way, not to derail the topic, what Paul and Amy were saying, even you did, about Universal, there's rumors coming back, complete rumors, that Disney is thinking forward to a villains theme park. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be a way for them to get more thrills for us in something like that, and maybe up the Halloween quotient. Still keep Mickey's not so scary, but give us some. So I'm hoping, if Disney's listening, that would be a good thing.
Then you can do all those fun things in a Disney park, Panda.
Yeah, sure.
Like screaming.
Like screaming. And if you have no idea what we're talking about, the entirety of these 4 DVC shows that we filmed in a row are on Patreon for, I believe, the $10 and up tier.
Yes.
So patreon.com/DizUnplugged, and you will hear about how much fun Panda has at the Halloween Horror Nights houses. So be sure to, I guarantee you, I'll look you straight in the eye. it's worth $10 to hear that story. But without turning this into a Universal Orlando show, Danny, what is something? You've been an Orlando local for a while now.
A long time. So I love to be outdoors. I think if you're coming to Florida, you got to be outdoors. And I think one thing that a lot of people overlook are the springs around here. There are some beautiful springs. My favorite being Wekiva Springs. Have you been?
I haven't, but I've heard it's beautiful.
Oh, it is just so nice to go with your friends, your family, and you just float through the springs. Just, you have your drinks and, your juice or whatever it is that you like, like to drink. And you just enjoy a nice, sunny Florida day. So that is one of my favorites. And then, okay, another one. This is a little hidden gem. So have you guys ever stayed in a tiny home before?
No, but I want to.
I look those up all the time because I like looking at the inside.
So,
me too.
They are so cute, and there is a little tiny home community that is right by Wekiva Springs, not too far from there, and it's right on a lake, and you can rent kayaks and paddle boards, and it's called Orlando Lakefront Tiny Home, and there's a bunch of little tiny homes there, so you can stay in like all different themed ones, and they're adorable. So yeah, there's just a lot of like water activities here, obviously, in Florida, and it's just so nice to spend the day outside with your friends and family. So those are two of my favorite things.
Yeah, and you're on the west coast of Florida now, out in Clearwater. It probably goes to my list as well. If you've most likely Disney Vacation Club owners that are looking to do these things, most have probably rented a car, and so take a day trip and head out towards Tampa, Clearwater, Indian Rocks, that whole coast up and down the Tampa area just has some amazing options in terms of things to do. My mom was or still is going to be coming in town very soon, and we talked about going to the Tampa Zoo. She's big into like the National Geographic shows that are about like animals and veterinarian. She loves Dr. Pole, who's like the guy that like is a veterinarian out somewhere, and I feel like he's in the Arctic because it always looks snowy, but she loves those type of shows. But apparently they did a show all about the Tampa Zoo, and we're showing about the animals there and stuff like that. So we were planning to go out to the Tampa Zoo. There's Busch Gardens out there as well. So, so much to do.
When I'm just hanging out on my balcony, sometimes I see even dolphins just, swimming by. And of course you have your East Coast beaches too, but there's just something about those West Coast beaches I just think are really special. Yeah. Those are my favorite beaches here in Florida. And it's about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive, depending on which beach you go to. So you can't come to Florida and not check out the beaches.
Exactly. Panda, you've been a Florida resident for a while.
Yeah, I ventured out to are we calling it still Icon 360 Park with the Florida Eye? There's a lot of, even if you don't want to do rides, but you could, the Ferris wheel and the other rides that I don't like so much. They're kind of they are thrill rides, but the restaurants there are very nice. And the Madame Tussauds Wax Museum is next door to an aquarium, next door to some weird things like the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum. I don't really like the Wonder Works, but if you have little kids, that's nice. The building that's upside down. So even though I try to avoid International Drive because of the traffic, once you go and you park, there is a lot to do. You definitely can fill up a good couple of hours family time there, for sure.
Yeah. And there's easy, even if you don't have a car, there's easy transportation via Uber and things like that throughout the area that will help you get to wherever you want to be for the day if you don't want to fight I-4 and things like that. So more options.
What about Kennedy Space Center and then maybe also pairing it with heading over to Port Canaveral and watching the Disney cruise ships leave for the day? That could be a fun day trip as well.
Sounds like what I'm going to go do after we're done filming these now. We actually went with Amy's mom to Kennedy Space Center a year ago or so and just had an amazing time. That whole facility there, first off, it's dirt cheap, I feel like, for an admission ticket into Kennedy.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
And you can see so many cool things when we were there. I'm kind of like a closet space buff a little bit. My mom likes to tell the story that when I was a kid, I used to tell people that I wanted to be an ice cream man on the moon when I grew up. So apparently me liking space is full circle in terms of
Would that
You
be
really-
like Dippin' Dots? Like Dippin' Dots
I
on the
guess.
moon?
I wanted to sell Dippin'
That
Dots
would
on the
be
moon.
it.
I think Paul was like, I don't really want any competition, so I'm going to go on the moon. You're like, yeah.
It probably aligned with my obsession with E.T. I watched E.T. probably more times than I count. My mom, again, would tell you, this is turning into like a my mom show. I've talked about her 3 times, but she would tell you that she's watched E.T. die 100 times because I would always call her in during, spoiler alert, he kind of croaks at one point. He comes back, don't worry. But I would always call her in because it scared me. But yeah.
The boy's coming back. We're losing
Wow.
ET.
Yeah, no, I'm like, like deep down my childhood rabbit hole now. But yeah, Kennedy Space Center, awesome
much
place. We were there when Artemis was on the pad, so we actually got to see Artemis. I've not personally been there for a launch, although I can tell you that probably any launch that is happening at any point, I'm always like looking out our back door, making sure I can see it in the sky and stuff like that. But definitely want to go there for a launch at some point and see that in person, be that close. But they've definitely expanded. They just opened up a new building. I want to say Odyssey, but it's something else. I forget what the new pavilion that they just opened up. But they literally have a giant Falcon 9 SpaceX rocket that hangs from the ceiling in that building. So much fun stuff to do at Kennedy. And then, like you said, go out. There's like a little restaurant or bar, I think, on the little pier that heads out to where all the cruise ships are, and watch.
You could even do like a split stay. You could stay on property and then do like a 3-night Disney cruise out of Port Canaveral, split it up, do a little land and sea combination. Love those. Spent 10 years out on cruise ships, so I'm a big fan of doing those. So yeah, great alternative to going into the park.
Yeah.
True.
This is, I feel like this is the 4th show we've had Danny on, but we never really did like a proper introduction with you or anything like that. Tell us a little bit about yourself real quick in terms of your background with DVC.
So I grew up in Orlando. I didn't grow up. I grew up in South Florida, like the real South Florida, not where the South Florida you guys are from. But grew up in South Florida and then came to Orlando to go to school. I went to UCF here. And then right out of college, I started working on cruise ships. I got recruited from a career fair to go work on a cruise ship. So that was like a dream job, got to sail all around the world. And then I met Marissa out there, who I know you all know and love, and she brought me over to DVC. So I was on our cruise team for 5 years and sold Disney Vacation Club out there. And then I met my boyfriend out there. We both worked on Disney Cruise Line. And in 2021, we actually left Disney and we went and traveled around the world for a year.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So that was really, really fun. We went to 19 different countries. And then we came back to land. And then I came
Here
over
you
to
are.
DVC Resale Market. That's like my backstory in 30 seconds.
Hey, it was to the point.
Now back to our...
No, yeah, I just know that I love the story about you traveling around the world for a year. I just know we didn't sort of get to sort of introduce the audience to Danny. So again, if you're looking to buy or sell a Disney Vacation Club contract, DVC Resale Market, Danny Metzger.
Get in line.
and this episode is just so up my alley because, as you can see, we are just, adventurous, always looking for fun things to do. And so I have like a running list in my phone. I mean, I could list off all of the fun things to do in Orlando. There's just so many cool things over here and like so many bucket list experiences. My boyfriend Kevin and I, we actually did the indoor skydiving a few weeks ago. Have you guys done that before?
No, I don't think I would. Paul would probably try it out.
Totally.
It was so much fun. I highly, highly recommend it. We actually loved it so much that we got like a ticket to come back and do it again. So
that is called iFly, right? Orlando Indoor Skydiving.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know what I'm thinking? I go to iFly and they're like, we're going to boost the fan up a little bit. And I'm flying. It's really cool. And then Paul innocently just comes in and they forget to check. And I'm like, where's Paul? They could go right through the ceiling.
Oh, that's so funny. So I didn't know this, but this is actually where they train, like a lot of like professional skydivers who do all the tricks and stuff. This is where they train how to do all those tricks. And I didn't know that there was like strategy to skydiving. So we actually did start to learn a few different tricks on like how to go up and down, and you move your hands and your legs certain way, and like if you move your hands just ever so slightly like this, you'll like skyrocket.
Yeah, and that's right on international drives.
Yeah.
So there's one here, there's one in Tampa as well. We actually did the one in Tampa, and that one is a little bit bigger, so that's where the professionals practice. But yeah, really, really fun experience.
We used to vacation in Wildwood, New Jersey a lot, and they always had some sort of like skydiving finals that were there. And it was both cool and scary to watch from the perspective of where we were on the beach, is because these guys would come in super fast. And I think the goal at that point, once you get very close to the ground, is you have to go through like a series of gates before you touch down. And you would watch them disappear behind a building, and you would just be like, I don't know how they're going to slow down, but just the level of control that those experts have is absolutely amazing. Wild. Amy, what is some of your thoughts around Orlando?
So when I did a couple articles actually for moving to Orlando that were called 10 experiences in Orlando besides theme parks. I did part 1 and part 2 because there was just a lot of stuff, but just a few of the ones on those that I want to mention, because these are very relevant if you're a DVC member and you're just using your DVC to have a great place to stay, but you want to explore other things. The first one is Bok Tower Gardens, and that is an hour south of I-Drive. We actually passed the exit for it on the way from our home to here, and it's a National Historic Landmark. It's just beautiful like garden sites. You'll see like endangered plants, conservation lands, woodland gardens, nature trails, citrus groves, and things like that. The one thing that I think is really cool is that for $5, because there's an entrance fee, it's very minimal for a person, but for $5 you can bring a dog. So I just thought it would be cool to like take our dogs out there and just walk around through like the trails and stuff. So that's one. Obviously, I love going to zoos and aquariums. So you've got the Central Florida Zoo and Botanical Gardens, and then you've also got the Sea Life Orlando Aquarium, and the Sea Life Orlando Aquarium is over by like Madame Tussauds and in the I-Drive area. So those are both really cool options. There's the Orlando Tree Trek Adventure Park, which is like zip lines and like aerial challenges, and there's like kids courses and stuff like that. And I've always thought that those places were really cool. But one place I really want to go, I'm going to make Paul take me. I just want to check it out. It's called Wonderworks. And I don't know. Do you know, Panda? Have you heard of Wonderworks? It's like the upside down building.
Yes.
And is it in the I-Drive
It's
area?
right on I-Drive. It's mostly for little kids, though. You might be a little disappointed.
Okay. It's like Science Center type stuff, though, right?
Yes.
See, I love that kind of stuff.
I like the Ripley's. You'll like it better, I think, the Ripley's Museum.
The Ripley's Museum. Okay. And then one last place I really want to try. It's called Giraffe Ranch. And it's in Central Florida, and basically you can like get up close and personal with giraffes. You can feed them. There's 47 acres of like a savanna that you can explore. That's like animals and stuff. But I think that looks really cool.
Okay, that reminds me, I live in Claremont. There is an alpaca farm in Claremont. I think we paid $10. It was pretty amazing. The alpacas just come up to you, you feed them, and it was really a fun $10, $15 thing to do. It was great.
Wow, yeah. And
speaking of animals, there's Gatorland, too. I haven't been yet, but I've actually heard that it's really fun.
It's great.
You've been?
Yeah, it's pretty good. You really see them feeding the gators and wrestling them, and then there's a bird sanctuary and paths. It's really nice, yeah.
Wrestling? They wrestle?
They kind of like, I've seen them not wrestle.
Huh.
I've seen the alligators wrestle.
Okay.
The people kind of go up to them and like open their mouths and do things with them, and
wow.
It's a little daring. Like I'm scared that they're going to get killed.
Have you guys been
so concerned now.
Have you been to Lake Nona, Boxy Park in Lake Nona?
I haven't, but yeah, it looks really cool. So it's like made out of like the shipping containers and there's like places to eat and stuff like that. It looks really neat.
Yeah, so I love the lobster rolls from there. So there's all different little shipping containers and they have different types of food. There's like a little bar shipping container. And then I'm pretty sure they have live entertainment every day. At least every time I've been there, they've had live music there. And it's a really nice day, but there's all different types of food in the different shipping containers. And Lake Nona, it kind of reminds me of Celebration, just like the cookie cutter, really adorable houses. And I love just driving around Lake Nona. And there's UCF built a school over there. So that's where their medical school is. Yeah. And not too far from the airport either.
And Lake Nona is also where Disney's building its new campus, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And then, if you're still looking for something like theme park, like you've got SeaWorld right there. There's a lot of
Dolphin
cool
Cove.
option. Yeah, you've got Dolphin Cove or Discovery Cove.
Discovery
Cove, where you can, swim with dolphins. Is that owned by SeaWorld?
I think it's owned by SeaWorld.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, SeaWorld has all kinds of, like the Seven Seas Food Festival. Like we've been wanting to go out and check that out. They have a lot of coasters. Like if you're a coaster person, SeaWorld and then Busch Gardens also out in Tampa Bay. They're both owned by the same company, so you can get like ticket deals to both of them. But there are a lot of really cool roller coasters at both of those parks. And they're not, SeaWorld's really close to Orlando. Tampa, Busch Gardens is a little farther, but really not that bad of a drive.
We actually just went to SeaWorld to the what's the name of it, where you go around to the different countries and you like they had different food samplings at all the different countries.
They're festivals.
So they give you like a little passport and the food was actually really good. But I did discover that I cannot do those big roller coasters anymore. Like when I was younger, I used to go on over and over and over, and I could just ride all the roller coasters. And I went on one and I was like, oh gosh, I am in my 30s. Like, whoa, I cannot do this anymore. But yeah, you'll never go bored in Orlando. There is just so much to do around here.
Yeah, and you guys have already made me think about another show where we should do like DVC dining around Orlando, where we sort of share some ideas of some great out of the parks, out of the DVC resorts.
That is a brilliant
sort of
idea.
dining.
We are big foodies over here. We love to find like the secret hidden gems around Orlando. So I could do a whole.
That'll be a 2-hour marathon show.
Yes.
And we will have to bring some food in for that, or
how
something
about we
similar.
don't do it in the studio? How about we actually go out on location and run around and just eat all the food in Orlando?
I like the way Danny thinks.
I'm going to Rocco's Tacos. That's my place.
She was obsessed with Rocco's Tacos.
It's good.
We've gone to Christini's restaurant multiple times and stuff like that. And every time we've gone to Christini's, we've driven by Rocco's Tacos. She's like, we gotta go there. We got it. So finally, we went to see Wicked, and we made a reservation at Rocco's Tacos.
Oh, that's another thing. The Dr. Phillips Center has, Broadway. Yep, they have amazing shows. We saw Frozen last year. We saw Wicked this year. Just a beautiful, beautiful building and
they redid it facility. And so it is.
Oh, amazing.
It looks amazing.
They just released the 2023-2024 schedule. I'm gonna forget some here. Moulin Rouge is coming to the Dr. Phillips Center. We've got Aladdin coming to the Dr. Phillips Center. Pretty Woman. I think that's still this season, so that's coming up very, very soon. And Les Mis is coming. I know I'm forgetting some. Just always a great lineup of shows coming there, and just a beautiful facility. It is gorgeous. The Walt Disney Theater in the Dr. Phillips Center, so it has a Disney tie-in as well. But gorgeous little center there, and a great place to catch a live show or live. They've always got something, music, ballet, opera, you name it. They've got multiple different stages and
definitely like harkens back to Broadway.
Oh my God, I'm never gonna.
And while you're seeing a show there, Lake Eola is right there as well, and I'm pretty sure that fountain was built by Walt Disney in some capacity, but it's always lit up. You have the swan boats there that you can take out, do a nice walk around the park. So I lived there for many years, and it's just such a beautiful way to spend your evening. So after you go and see your show, make sure you take a walk around the park there, and then talk about dining. Downtown has some of the best dining locations.
Just all the reason to come back and see the next episode for sure. When we talk about DVC dining around Orlando, but I think at the end of the day, just so many different options for DVC members. If you are looking for something a little bit different, still wanting to stay at that Disney Vacation Club property, but explore some of the more nuances of the Orlando, Tampa, Daytona, Port Canaveral, all of those areas, they are all very accessible, all within an hour, 2 hours drive. And you'll spend that much time waiting for Mine Train at Magic Kingdom. So might as well explore some other opportunities out and about in the area. That is going to do it for this episode of the DVC show. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you all next week.